Go ahead, John.
Okay, good morning, it's Guyuna. It is December 6th on a beautiful Friday morning. And I guess we can start with the roll.
Okay. Online we have Rita Ogburn McCall. In the room we have hi Rita. In the room we have Kara Parks, Janet Wynn, Chairman Delarada, Doc Horton, Erin Cassidy Dorian, Elena Flynn, Dark Strayer, Clark Henry, and myself, Laura Robertson.
Very good. And we don't have anything from the public, I believe.
I did not get anything.
All right, that's good. And that brings us to the minutes of November 1st, 2024. I will make a motion to approve those. Second. Any discussion? All in favor? And those motions are approved unanimously. Good morning, Mr. Yato. Morning. And that brings us to the resolutions on this holiday week.
The first resolution we have is the resolution to adopt amendments to the zoning code. We had the public hearing. We had a fair number of comments at the public hearing. I would say, my summary, most people were in favor of the town adopting some code, but they still preferred to see an outright ban of short-term rentals in the town of Muskegon. We also heard those comments at the planning board though, and we had some pretty strong legal advice. And it's my understanding as well that an outright ban is really not an option that the town would want to pursue, because it probably wouldn't hold up in court. So, we've made a couple tweaks since the planning board referred it to the town board. In your packet, there were two more tweaks that are what one of our assistant attorneys, Stephanie and I identified. I'll share my screen real quick. So the first one we identified is that we are in our code felt it was stronger to actually have the number of bedrooms in the home determined by a building inspector or a New York State certified building inspector. So rather than using assessor's records, that way the building inspector or the homeowners are providing a report from a licensed building inspector that says these are the numbers of homes. The assessment records are just for assessment purposes, not necessarily for building permit purposes. So that just seems like a more fair and more up-to-date way of determining the number of bedrooms that could be rented. We had made those changes in the code before it went to the town board, but we didn't realize that in F, we were still referencing the assessment records for the number of bedrooms. So that's just to be consistent with the way that we changed determining the number of bedrooms. So that's just almost just a text change. We would make sure that we're being consistent, that it's as determined by section 220-8-C2, which is talking about the New York State certified building inspectors. And does anybody have any questions on that one?
So that report would come in presumably with the application?
Yes, before any licensing was to take place. They have to prove the number of bedrooms. And then the only other thing that we noticed was when we went to determining the number of bedrooms from the building inspector, it can be more than 3 bedrooms. We had a cap on the number of vehicles related to a cap on the number of bedrooms. So to be consistent, we recommended that it just stay 1 vehicle per rented bedroom plus 1 vehicle, so basically for the owner. So they have to be there.
Yes.
So those were our 2 codes. I would like to have it move forward in the December meeting so I can start enforcing January 1st. I just like that because it's clean. But if there are some more questions, we could defer. I will keep it as a tentative resolution for now.
I think we can keep it on as a resolution, hopefully. And I mean, it's set in stone for a year, but we can revisit this and change it if there's some further things that need done. But it would be good to get off and running on January 1st if possible.
I would very much like to do that. I agree with you. If there's something in there that isn't working very well, we can definitely revisit it. Elena and I just had a meeting with, it's like, with someone who wants a freestanding daycare in R1. Yeah, I mean, so that's a pretty important code change that I think is needed because we have so few daycares and it's allowed in the R2 and the R3, but not in R1 and the RR when they're bigger parcels and probably even more appropriate for a freestanding daycare. So where that came from in 1971, I do not know, but I would recommend that we allow freestanding childcare. We allow freestanding adult care in R1 zone. So, so we're going to be opening up the zoning code again this year, probably for that reason. So if there is something in here that isn't working, we don't usually amend the zoning code so close together like that. But I think it's a worthy cause to try and get more daycare into the town. So. We need it, extensive year, and some people are on waiting list for, and too long.
Yeah,
I mean, and
our area is actually identified as a childcare desert
yeah,
in the state, so it's important that we.
And that just usually disproportionately affects women, and it usually disproportionately affects, lower income families. So we definitely need to get some childcare out there for people. So, okay. So I'll put that on there and then let me know if you have any more questions. And again, probably we'll be opening up the zoning code this 2025. Again. The second resolution I have is a resolution to award a contract for assistance with the preparation of the town's 2025 comprehensive plan. We put the resolution for the comp plan out at the beginning of this year and it just came back 2 to 3 times more expensive than our budget. We changed the RFP, ran it past the comprehensive plan committee.
Did
Tuesday?
you say 2 to 3 times?
2 to 3 times more than our budget.
Oh, yeah.
We had a very robust RFP.
It's very optimistic.
Did you apply our 25% discount?
I forgot the clip that week.
Yeah. Well, it was basically everything we could think of that would be good to have in a comprehensive plan. So this one we pared down a lot. It's basically just focusing on land use and review, editing, and typesetting. And we also allowed people to just kind of choose what they could do out of the scope of the work that would get you to the $30,000 budget. It's out there. I sent it to our TDEs and Barton and Judas because they bid last time. It's a very short turnaround for them, but I did hear that at least one of them can bid. One of them said they will pass, and one of them is working on it. So hopefully we'll get at least a couple to look at. And I think that I can have that for this meeting. So that one, I should be able to have the name and the total amount, which will be $30,000.
The deadline's Wednesday next week, right?
Yes, that's when I have the RFP due.
Okay, I just want to make sure you have enough time to. I didn't know when it was due.
It's very tight.
It's very tight. If something goes really wrong, I guess we can extend that and then we'd have to word it in January, but I'm trying to get it on December because that's
So
obviously.
you have a organizational meeting and getting right up to a special meeting, so we'll have to wait till the end of the month.
Okay, so if it slips, we could put it on the organizational meeting.
And what date was that again, Elena?
Yeah.
Or the organizational?
14th, I
Oh, the
believe.
14th?
And then we lost back, like, what is it, 7th? No, it's the 14th. But no, this is done. Yeah, this is.
Yeah, so this just shows you kind of like a good summary of what we're looking for help with: economic development, land use, drafting, diversity, equity, and inclusion, community input, just reviewing the community input formatting, and then if they have, we don't actually think that we can fund even all of this with $30,000. We wish.
Yeah.
But if they have time, implementation. That I think will get us to the end. We can talk more about where we're at with the comprehensive plan when we get to the agenda item. My third resolution is a resolution to award a contract for sidewalk reconstruction on Palmer Ave. I have the bid documents in my office. They are out on the street from Weston and Sampson, and I think the bids are coming in back to us December 18th. It's 2 days after
So that's not this.
So that definitely won't be able to go on this month, but I did put it on there because, I just want to make sure I will have the name and have everything ready to go by December 31st.
This is the one that I asked about.
Yeah.
We could encumber the money.
Yeah, but it's not gonna go on the meeting, right? So let me take it up. It's not gonna go until January.
Or you'll have the exact amount. Can
We will have
Yes.
the exact amount.
Yeah. You can encumber it, but I won't put it on finance or resolution.
Okay, so we'll
Just
put
wanna make
this on
sure.
for January.
And that was Palmer Ave, right?
Palmer Ave, yeah. For that with Trish, when we get the bids.
That's the one out of the 2 or 3 that we'd like to get done.
Of the 3 sidewalk designs that we have. And this is being funded because there is an existing sidewalk there. It's just not ADA accessible. So we're going to redo that sidewalk to make it compliant with the ADA standards and have the curb ramps and everything. It's important for it to be a little wider and a little accessible because it is like the connection from lower Old Niskayuna to Van Antwerp Middle School.
Yeah.
And I have to look at the plans and I'll show them to Matt, but he was gonna try to actually bring the sidewalk across Van Antwerp and over so that there won't be kids walking through the mud at all. So that it'll be a full sidewalk connection from what's the one that Van Antwerp's actually looking at? Story? No.
Story is the one with the steep hill that comes down.
Okay, yeah, so Story has a tiny section of sidewalk missing. It goes to the sidewalk all the way to like basically right in front of the school, and then there's a tiny bit missing.
That's weird.
Yeah, so we'll see if that can be included, like an additive alternate, so that they have ADA acceptable sidewalks available.
Yeah, that's a tricky, where Story ends there, kind of an odd.
Section is so.
Yeah, the corners don't line up, and
Yeah.
it doesn't line up with the entranceway to, is that Hillside there? No, that's, Van Antwerp. Yeah. Yeah, and Grand Boulevard's off to the side, so it's kind of funky,
What brings the kids from Grand Boulevard up to the school?
right?
Yeah. Kind of the old Garner Beanie House.
That's very dangerous because they have that the crosswalk sign in the middle of the intersection
Yes,
and people don't even know which way to drive around it.
it's very,
It's horrible.
and it's
It's very better for the kids to walk out.
Oh, she does move. Yeah, she does.
They leave the sign there after the crosswalk is gone.
They try to
And
use
you
it to
pull,
slow people
and
down.
if you pull out, it's in the middle of the.
You have to stop it anyway.
was there some thought of making Story a one-way? Did we talk about it at some point?
Because you can't turn onto Van Antwerp, you know what I mean? There's restrictions at that intersection. So if you live down in that general neighborhood, a lot of times Story is how you get to your house because you can't go to, not like you can go to the light at Van Antwerp and Balltown and take
Right.
left down Van Antwerp, and then
No
all the
left
way
there.
down Union to come back.
Wow. That's restricted movement at that intersection. You can't take a left, going northbound.
Some people do, but it's at your own risk because that's.
Well, that'd be a tough left. Someone's going back the exact direction you're coming.
What does it cost to put in those, like we did over here at the co-op, the lights where if somebody steps into the intersection, they flash?
Yeah, those cost about $10,000 to $14,000.
That's not that bad. I thought for a moment.
No,
What's it cost?
design, adds cost to it, but the actual infrastructure.
It's just a weird intersection because it's like the crosswalk where it is, and then you have like where it comes down, and then you kind of have to go over. And you know what I mean? It's just a weird place to have anything.
Okay, so the one thing I have for finance, an actual finance action, which Janet has already, is the EV charging station renewal bills. They're just, each one of them is just slightly above my, okaying authority. I know you did have that question, do we have to do that? And we are locked into a 5-year contract or something? I sent it
When
back
did
to
that start? I forgot.
and that's because of the grant money that the state gives us.
They kind of like us with that.
A little, I think so.
I feel like that's your word for the year. Damn beautiful.
That's.
Sounds like she could put a new age EV station.
It is hard because that fee in of itself makes it impossible for those stations to be
Ever like break
break
even.
even. Yeah. They make it seem like you can charge enough to make it close to breaking even, which is true. You can charge enough to break even with your electricity. But you can't
That's
break
right.
even with your delivery, and then you add on the, the actual.
And people won't use it if we start charging them.
Yeah,
I just thought
It
of,
defeats the purpose.
I wonder if I could ask the county if they would apply solar credits to those so that we don't pay for electricity and we're only using the fees to offset the software. You know what I mean? And it's just that if they have some left over.
That's a good idea.
We pay for the electricity costs like at town hall because of a grant. Like you can run that station for 10 years probably and you'll still be ahead because, and with the EV vehicles and stuff, I feel like we actually made some money. So, yeah, that one is on for finance. And then a tentative one, I don't have any updates on this because I missed the last town board meeting. But I don't know if we want to keep the resolution adopting the town logo as tentative.
So we have a meeting on Monday or Tuesday. It's Jason and Bill and Maria are meeting. And then just because I couldn't do a quorum, I said, I'll be down the hall if you want to talk to me. So I think they're gonna kind of figure out what the best way forward is.
Okay.
I don't know what, I think we'll know before Wednesday. I just don't know what the answer is gonna be, so we may as well be done.
Okay. And then if we have an update, we can the update can be that we had that meeting and these are our next steps.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll do that. The next thing that I have is a proposal from Niskuna Harbor. Those are invoices. For how many units did we decide, Claire?
Well, it's divided up.
Oh, yeah, okay, so 96 4-unit condos, 4.
I have the count. It's
Yeah,
it's 24 4-unit buildings, 4 6-unit buildings, and 8 10-unit buildings. Yeah.
Total of basically like 200 units. This is directly adjacent to Rivers Ledge. On this map here, Rivers Ledge is over here. You can see the corner of one of the Rivers Ledge buildings is right here. This is Aqueduct Road. This is actually probably about the crest of the hill on Aqueduct Road. And they're proposing to put a PUD there, which is exactly what Rivers Ledge did. You see they have the different size buildings. That's what Clark was just saying. These ones down here are 6 units. These little ones are 4 units. The bigger ones are 10 units. They're proposing all condos, all owned by the owner.
You might just explain what a PUD is.
Yeah, planned unit development is a flexible zoning district that allows for you to have things like condos. It allows for Rivers Ledge to have a mix of 2 different types of housing and the commercial. These guys are not adding any commercial. They're really just looking at condos. They did an analysis of housing in Niskuna, and it showed that we are very low on condos and that condos are a good choice for people aging in place. The difference between condos and townhomes is that condos, you only own like the inside of where you live. Townhomes, you own the inside and your yard, but the lot line goes through the building. Both of them use HOAs typically. So this one will have a homeowners association that takes care of the grounds. But there is some benefit to having the ownership because you build equity, and it is not an apartment. They will have like pulling doors and stuff like that. And they have not gone before planning yet. This is just the initial packet. It's in here for you to look. The way a PUD, a planned unit development, works is the very first step is they have to send a letter to the town board asking for them to allow them to make an application for a planned unit development. So the town board the planning board will do a lot of planning and make a recommendation to the town board, but the town board is the ultimate authority on where planned unit developments go. And so I think our code just has this extra step, like if the town board isn't interested at all in a planned unit development there, then they just say right off the bat, no, you can't make an application. If they know that there's a lot of planning that needs to happen and it could change, but the idea of having a planned unit development there makes sense. Then they allowed the application to be made and then the planning starts. Just allowing the application to be made doesn't lock the town board into anything. It's literally just allows the application to be made. Rivers Ledge did that in 2016. They had a very different proposal in 2016 than what ended up being built, but it does have to come before the town board for a approval for the application to come. The underlying, so if you look in your packet, and I know you probably haven't had a lot of time to look at it, so feel free to look at it kind of after the meeting. But they wrote a letter to the town board. There's a project description. Again, it's, up on Aqueduct Road, right adjacent to Rivers Ledge there. The underlying zoning is R2. So you could consider single family homes. My recommendation as a planner though is that I completely agree. We are very low on condos and they are a diversity of housing option that allows people to stay. So I certainly would think that in this case, condos are probably a better choice. Also allows for more compact development in that area. They've got,
It'll make it look nice too.
yeah, they've got, and there's definitely a lot of potential impacts and things that the planning board has to work through. There's, probably a wetland issue that the planning board has to work through. So whether or not it ends up looking like this, probably going to change quite a bit, just like Rivers Ledge did. But the condo idea is, in my opinion, probably one of the highest and best use of that land.
Laura, since they submitted this within the last couple of days, can we put it on for resolution for the town board to consider, or?
I was wondering about that. I am personally okay with it going on for the town board to decision, but it has only been here for a day and I haven't actually even emailed it to all the town board members.
Yeah, I feel like we all are in the know about this, though.
Yeah, I am familiar with it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Jason aren't as much, but
I feel like Jason and I talked about it. I don't know if I talked to Chats about it, but Jess will be all.
I can put it on for discussion at the agenda meeting too as a tentative and then they feel comfortable with it.
All right, yeah, okay. So I'll put that.
It'd be nice to get.
Oh,
it
if it's a
taken care of.
30, yeah. We have to.
Yeah.
But we should just put it on.
Okay.
That's gonna be tentative for what though?
Oh, yeah, just whatever, just, yeah, it does.
To approve planned unit development.
No,
But
it's just allowing
Authorize
the
an
application.
Okay, I'd like to approve the back thinking.
Yeah, they can't apply without the town board allowing them to apply. And I just think that's a threshold because the PUD, it's an expensive process. And, it's a lot of planning. And
Yeah.
if the town board isn't even willing to consider it, I think they just have that initial gate of
Yeah.
yes or no. They're just saying, go ahead and apply.
Again, the application is expensive in itself, but
Yeah.
Is it in the floodplain at all or?
Floodplain is where you see the former Erie Canal, Erie Barge Canal, it's labeled right here. This arc goes through here.
Yeah.
The floodplain is on the north side of that.
Is that part canal, filled with water or is it swamp?
No, that is, well, it's got a lot of wetlands on it. The wetlands are the hatched areas. But that is, built in and it's actually the same area where Rivers Ledge put the path along.
Yeah,
the
it's
river.
higher than the river.
Yeah. Quite a bit.
Just what we have right now is a project narrative that's about 8 pages long or so, and an environmental assessment form, and then a concept plan drawing. So that will all go to the town board.
yeah, I think it's a nice, it kind of furthers the riverfront, what we accomplished down there. It's connecting
Yeah.
everything together, eventually to Niskuna Harbor into the Mohawk Harbor and the condo townhomes, there's not really a big difference there.
Yeah, the only thing is do not, in a townhome, you own your yard. In a
Yeah,
But you
condo,
don't take care of your yard in a townhome, right? You still have a
Not usually.
homeowner association, so it's really like, but
Uniformity, I would
yeah.
say, like the benefit to it, so it looks, you know,
I know Rivers Ledge is all rentals.
Yes.
These would, you would actually own in the condo.
Which is nice.
So it provides a diversity. The one thing we should definitely be looking at though is connectivity, and
Mhm.
we have a park up there, make sure that there's access to the park
they're trying
in
to
this
do that, right?
development.
And the path will I mean, I imagine there's gonna be some type of path connecting, right? These two?
yeah, the emergency access right here is, a connection between Rivers
Okay.
Ledge and.
Yeah.
There's a lot of wetlands between Rivers Ledge and the main section of buildings, but yeah, the bike path itself will be a connection between
Yeah.
Rivers Ledge.
Yeah.
And then there's another one down at the bottom.
Well, I was thinking also.
Yeah.
And we may want to look at that rail bed again, because we're getting more and more development here, and the time might be right to approach the owner and see if we can make that part of the bike path. There's a rail bed that goes from the bike path all the way up to the rec center.
Yeah.
Oh,
Super awesome.
uh-huh.
We've talked about it since I've been here.
Yeah.
It's an up and coming area. It's actually so beautiful there. It's
So beautiful.
up at the top of the hill, you know, and to have all of that kind of looking together and gorgeous, I think it's a little park and a path, and I think it's gonna look good.
I didn't realize that that was all walkable on the other side of the park. Is that a path there? Is that for sure?
Discussion that we don't do.
We're gonna,
I mean, there's a lot of planning that has to be done.
Yeah, no, but actually preserving it is actually.
We're going to do a site walk at some point because at the far left of the page there's remnants of the barge canal.
Yeah.
So it's supposed to be really nice at that end.
yes, I can remember seeing those from the water, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a long time ago, like early 80s, this was proposed as the Niskayuna Harbor, and it actually had a harbor carved out of that lower area
Mm.
with boat slips and everything. But I don't know how actual feasibly that was, because the like the sort of the center of the river is actually on the other side of the Mohawk there, and so it silts on this side, and this is very silty. So I don't know how they ever would have put a Mohawk there, but that was why it was actually called the harbor.
And not to go too deeply into the details, but Laura and I just participated in a video conference yesterday with New York State Parks Department. There's a couple challenges to this project. One is crossing the bike path, which
Yeah.
can be a pretty lengthy process based on the experience with Rivers Ledge. And then they also have to cross a National Grid owned parcel between this project and Rivers Ledge.
Yeah.
So those are two kind of,
That's where the power lines go down?
yeah.
That's a very good point, Claire. The one thing that I did want to change is on Rivers Ledge, we had separate resolutions from the town board authorizing essentially like our department to work with New York State Office of Parks and Recreation to get that bike path crossing, because they do not work with developers. They will only work with the town.
Oh, I see.
So I actually want to combine these two resolutions together. So you guys would be authorizing a application for plan use development, and also authorizing us to work with New York State Parks on preparing an easement.
I'd be fine with that.
Okay. Yeah, Lena left, but that, I actually printed them out so I could show her. I think it makes a lot of sense to do it together, so that the town board is on the same page that if you are authorizing an application, you will need to accept an easement from New York State Parks for the crossing, because there's no other way to get there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right here. It's basically the only roadway that they can come in is right here.
Yeah.
So if you're authorizing an application, they will have to cross the bike path.
Isn't that a pretty steep grade there from that?
What he's doing from Aqueduct Road right here is this road will actually be going down, and then he's crossing the bike path at grade.
Do we just say authorizing you to work with the parks regarding easements?
Yeah. Yes.
Because I'm sharing my agenda with Elena. So
Okay, yeah, so she'll be able to see that. Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Janet.
Oh, this is just March 7th, man. It might sound a little bit random, but I gotta get it out now. do we have, when, of course, when the weather's nice, do we have organized tours of the town?
No,
We don't, but that sounds fun.
That does sound fun.
Oh,
we should.
every time I come to the meeting, I hear about little spots that you haven't seen that spot yet. We got that. So, and I would imagine that when the weather's nice, something like that, organized, what have you, and we could perhaps make a big town deal of it. Have I don't official there.
Your tour guide.
We'll get a little trolley.
Good idea.
We'll get a little trolley with people.
Idea.
I can tell you that with the NRI, we had walks with the naturalist and they've been well attended and it is absolutely unbelievable when you walk through towns, areas with the naturalist because they point out all sorts of things. I walked the landfill. I couldn't believe the biodiversity on the landfill. It was like amazing. So, yeah, I think there's a real need for that. Also, too, just the town in general, but that would be really great program.
Walk the Fieldstone Estate trails. I've never walked those before. Like the forest at the end is so pretty.
It's a good list. It's interesting.
Sears is the sociologist that comes out. You see, people tend to stay in those places where they are more connected to this, okay? And oftentimes, obviously, those of us who are older, are less likely to move than those who are younger. But be that as it may, the more attractive you can make a town, just pointing out little things that most of us don't know about. That just adds that extra sauce.
And I'm sure there's a ton of them. I mean, how many people know about the bird sanctuary, the Reese Bird Sanctuary, right? And we have pockets like that all over the town.
We do.
But you don't like the park that the Rivers Ledge just built. I don't know that people know that that's public, so.
Absolutely.
And
And that you can touch the aqueduct stone. Would you want to do it?
Thinking of one of those bikes where you sit and everyone pedals at the same time. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the ones that are generally. So
Well,
like a bar.
you know, it's kind of interesting because we rented a canal boat
No liquor.
family and we went through the Erie Canal this fall in Western New York. And the communities around there have developed that areas around it, both from a historic standpoint, but also from a commercial standpoint. Like if you look at Pittsford and Brockport and some of those areas, I mean, they've done a really nice job with the canal. Now, granted, the Erie Canal up there is still functioning, but just from a historic standpoint, you know, there's a lot potentially we should look at bringing that in.
Yeah.
we could really push up on our tourist attraction.
Yeah, and that's in line with the plan that was put out in like 2008 to develop this area.
I think that's an awesome idea.
I know. I love this.
That's something maybe we could shoot as a goal, perhaps either summer or perhaps early fall. I mean, I could, oh gosh, I could see it. Yeah,
Maybe get CDPHP to give us those e-bikes.
Because once you see those places, they're not scary to go because you've gone there with someone else. Now you know where to park. Now you know where to walk. So you can bring other people too. It becomes like kind of a.
Definitely look at that because you may want to put an access from the bike path to that park. So people, if there's real historic value and interest in this area, you might want to find access to that.
because, in instance, one of the things we can also start doing, we can deliberately start hosting events on some of these sites. They encourage people to come. And this is, I mean, I'm telling you, this idea came, this thing could actually be explosive in terms of, not only in terms, this would be a nice town to live in, but also be a nice tourist attraction. That could really provide us with a lot.
And out
Connections
here's the
getting
corn.
bigger and bigger. Like you have a lot to share.
No question. Yeah, I like it.
Aaron, you're too much. You are too much.
They're not white house. You know those dried ones you can make
Yes.
popcorn out of?
Yes.
There you go. Sell those at the train station.
Paper bags. And then like,
Corn capital of the north.
Well, I mean, you know, I know that the corn is not really on the logo, which is an issue, but I really like the idea of merchandising the logo at the train station or wherever.
Yeah.
Even if it's also that you can come.
Yeah.
Like I like to go to other towns and like buy something that says their name.
Conflict was hire someone to help us brand areas of the town. course, that's not it. We don't have money to do that, but that was something that we kicked around, or you were there.
I stripped your budget. It's okay.
That's fine. We under,
Grant money.
no, but I think it's important, you know, in some respects to have an identity.
I agree. I totally agree.
On that.
May
brand.
I ask a question? All right, this also leads back to the train station. Okay, in early this year, okay, Guy Gridley, who's actually a descendant of the Green family. Okay, across this, as a matter of fact, that road, that small road that goes from in front of the town hall, the Greens farm, that's his family. Okay, and what he said was, what he was trying to do was to organize a way where he can actually fund the train station and the area around it. Now, Guy Gridley was vice president for the company that owns Radisson's and Radisson Hotels and all of, it's a whole conglomerate of hotels. And he's a developer. And I mean, I think the way it was translated when we came across, when I presented it, was that he just wanted to raise money. But he was thinking as a developer. And that whole area right there is the beginnings of the Niskayuna we have right now. So as a historic section, and the thing is, his concern was that he has children that are going to school here. Okay, he was born and raised here. He has since the 1800s, he has a history here. And what he wanted to do was to have something that his children and other children here can learn and enjoy from, enjoy. Okay, now at the time we were told that we were not allowed to accept money from the town, the people in the town, solicit donations. But what his ideology is the same as the woman who wanted to take over the train station, was to actually do that, develop it. He sent me drawings, because in his business, what they do is with the historic properties, they not only restore it, but they also add, modern, adornments to it to make it very attractive, and develop a site around there, around that area, whether you want to have a market, museum, or whatever. Okay. And, he tried for months to do this, but I think it was the way it was presented. But right now you're actually having a discussion about exactly what his dream was. You see, so I don't know, right now, because he is a business person, so I don't know what's going on, but he wasn't able to make any inroads as far as the town. But without the grant, he was going to finance the entire thing.
So what are the rules about that? We can't solicit donations, but we can accept them.
Yes.
Yes.
That's weird.
One of the things
Accept donation?
our plan is that you can set up funds, community funds that are dedicated to specific uses, and that's a way to do it, but that requires us to do work. I believe it requires a
We're not afraid
legislature.
Right, but
Some of us.
excuse me, but prior to this town owning the train station,
Wait, what?
excuse me?
What?
No, I said prior to the town owning the train station building, the prior owners did something, and what I suggested to him was this: they got an accreditation as a museum, and they own the building through that accreditation. That comes from SUNY's Department of Education, and so I suggested that to him. If he wanted to go that far into it, because like the society, like the Niskayuna Historical Society that was here present before. You see, so this was a way of managing that. If you're going to have some person that really just wants to open up a coffee shop, as opposed to a developer that is going to actually get money poured into this. I
Rita,
mean,
let's set up a time to talk about this, because I feel like I don't want it to get lost in this conversation. So why don't you and me and maybe Clark and Laura can talk about it and see if we can come up with a plan. Because I never heard about this, so I'd like to talk about it more, and I don't want it to get wrapped up in
yes,
this.
yes.
So do you want to email me and we'll do something like maybe like early January?
Right. But would you like to speak to him?
Yeah.
Because he tried to contact Jamie and he kept leaving phone calls. I mean, but Jamie was not able to respond.
Rita, I'm into it for sure. Tell him, I mean, if he can come in with you, let's talk.
Yes, because I mean, this is his business. So,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, and he has a grounding in the history here.
Yeah,
You
Yeah,
know,
that'd be great to set up a meeting with him.
I would love it.
yes.
Yeah. And we'll see
Sure.
if we can get something that
Sure.
works for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
You.
Thank you, Rita.
Unfortunately, I have to run. Oh, you can take it from here. Dart, was there anything majorly important with the comprehensive?
Just, we have I can do that really quick. So, we worked on the PRF, last meeting, but we're coming up, we have a draft of the transportation, and we expect to really go through the final draft in January. We have an open space area that we're trying to assemble. We've done a lot of work on that. It needs to be pulled together, and then the committee as a whole will go through that complete draft. The rec center is still a discussion to have.
Yeah.
And you keep on putting that off.
That's a big.
No, believe me. And then, we are working on the historic cultural section. We have a lot of good ideas on that. So we're hoping to get that done, probably by the end of January. I would like to get that done. And then what we really need to do is we need to talk to the highway department about the utilities and the town infrastructure. They helped us last time on that. Then we have the economic development and land use. Yeah, Matt. I think you spoke to us 10 years ago. So we're working there. So we're actually making more good progress now, I believe. We got some new members in, so now we're staffed. Which
That's all.
challenge before. So yeah,
Good.
that's worked out.
We might be able to use some of the information that rate study company is going to collect on infrastructure and send it your way, and it can already be written.
Yeah, I mean, that's really important because we do not have expertise in inner workings of the town.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, good. We'll keep that going. Maybe we'll actually be able to keep their savings.
Well, I had an idea. You mentioned about if we don't have the funds to hire someone with branding. Here's an idea. It won't cost us anything. Connect with Union. And I'm certain they have I don't know over there, but I'm certain they try to have a business department with students. All right. And see if we can get some students who specialize or perhaps under the direction of a professor who specializes in branding and marketing, et cetera, set up an internship program.
That's actually a great idea. We'll definitely pursue that.
Therefore students get something out of it. They get that experience.
Mhm.
We get the expertise, because their professor's going to make sure they're going to do something right.
Yeah.
It's not going to cost us.
One of the things we do have related to the comp plan is we have a lot of information from the town. We had a survey, we had information sessions, and there were members of the committee that broke down the data and are very good at looking at data many different ways. So I think compared to previous plans, we have a much better picture of where the feeling of the town is. So that would definitely help in combining with if we should get an internship there.
Doc, what did you have for breakfast this morning? Oh, you got some good brain food in there.
Here's my secret. You get some of that Quaker 1 minute. Is this your system?
It is.
throw in some raisins,
Oh, the raisins, they might be the key.
cinnamon.
Mhm.
If I got brown sugar, throw some brown sugar.
Ah, right. You ready?
Get you going every time.
Thank you. We'll see you all soon. Take care. Thank you.
Okay, I know you guys probably all need to get going too, so I'm just gonna like really go fast. The land donation discussion for Catherine's Woods is that very tiny sliver of land at the end of Catherine's Woods, which I believe during subdivision was set aside for the subdivision sign. It was never built. The owners defaulted on the tax and it went into foreclosure. The county now sells it in a cycle of foreclosure. People see the address as Catherine's Woods, don't really understand what the size of the parcel needs to be to put a house on it. They buy it, it's expensive, they struggle with it, they end up not paying their taxes, it defaults back to the county and then a new person buys it again. Right now, I think it's sold at least 3 times since I have been a planner. And you know, the young girl bought it and it's gonna cost her more to get rid of it than it cost her to buy it. And it just doesn't seem right to me. I think that at some point, I know that, you know, I think their taxes are something like $30 a year on it or something. Like, to me, it's not a giant hole in our budget. And I do not think that it's a good thing for us to be putting these undeveloped slivers, you know, back to these people at auction who are then buying them and then
What a weird
Does this sliver provide any access to any of the parkland?
No, it's just a sliver on the corner.
Oh, it's on the corner.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
So Laura, I know this happened once before,
A lot.
like a unique case where, back in the maybe early 80s, they built a stormwater pond as part of one of the developments and never gave the land to the
No,
town.
it's false.
It defaulted and then people kept buying it and someone came in and they showed us plans and they wanted to put a house on it. But what happened though, the county was able to give us the land for the pond. Is that something that we can look at?
That she's offering to donate it so that it never.
Oh, we donating it now, okay.
There you go.
If it defaulted again, I was thinking, okay.
But we just raised the donation.
Yeah, I just put it on here for us to discuss. And then the other discussion item I had was board reappointments. I will send out for our policy an email to the board members asking who would like to continue. I do know that I have one very special and hardworking zoning board member who has put in his 7-year term and wants to step aside to allow new people to move up. So I'm gonna miss him, but I know that we'll need to fill a full-time zoning board spot. You know, I think for our policy, the first place we'll look is the alternates, but then we're down to only one zoning board alternate, so
So these 2 vacancies includes that vacancy or doesn't?
it does not.
Okay,
It's
so there's
currently
three.
not vacant, yeah.
So are these that are the paid members?
These are well, zoning board is never paid, actually, but they always feel like they're paid to me. The planning board is the only one that's paid.
Okay, and this is only for zoning, not for planning, because I'm just wanting to do everything for 1/1 for payroll. I'm
Yeah.
not desirous of doing retroactive
Okay,
checks this year.
yeah, so I will start getting the list together for you guys all to look at so that we'll know by January 1st. We still do the appointments on January 14th or whenever you said that special meeting was. But we'll have we'll know.
We'll make them retroactive to January 1st,
Yeah.
Okay.
because it's a monthly, they're monthly.
Yeah.
No, they're
Quarterly.
Quarterly.
Yeah, quarterly.
Planning board.
Yeah,
Are
just
we
with the new
thinking
payroll staff, I'm really just trying to keep the new year like
Yeah,
very
we don't
as
anticipate
simple as
changes.
possible.
They make $1,000 a year. The chairman makes 1,500, so they get paid like, I don't know,
It's not like,
Nobody has said anything. I mean, if you're looking at all those things with other towns, you could look at the planning board. I think it's all over the board what planning boards get. Yeah, I mean, I think some of them
I
are
know,
volunteer.
It's sort of, it's an interesting setup, really.
Yeah, I think, it is interesting that the planning board's paid and not the zoning board because they both have like actual.
The zoning
True,
board.
the zoning board is a semi-judicial board, like their decisions hold, I mean, they
They don't
hold
always
as the planning
mean,
board.
but it is.
I meet every month
We do.
Yeah.
And planning board's twice a month.
or twice a month. But I think having the tiny, I mean, it's a very small stipend, but it makes them a town employee. It makes them very accountable. You know,
Maybe we look at a per meeting.
right.
Let's,
Oh,
for
I
both,
know.
for
It's
both. Let's look at
ridiculous.
that for 2026.
That's why I feel like it's such an arbitrary number
Yeah.
too. Like,
Let's look at it for
Mhm.
2026 and say, okay, per meeting with a maximum of X amount of members, because we can't have like, 20 members show up at $50 a meeting and not have the budget for it. But, I think let's start that process with the 2026 budget, a little before that we start the 2026 budget, because
okay,
you know what happens when we start a budget, like,
let's start in May this year.
it's not a bad idea.
You're about to more than anybody, and he will never.
Oh, you do.
Okay, so for the planning board, like David DRPino is sick, but his summary is attached. I'll just pop it up. We have been working really, really hard on 1356 Belltown Road. We did settle with the developers. We have had a public hearing at the zoning board, a public hearing at the planning board. Just a little concerns about traffic and cut through that we're working through. But generally speaking, people I think have appreciated the reduction in townhomes and some of the bigger set aside of green space and the alignment with Barcelona. So we are trying to get that at least hammered out by the end of 2024. There'll be a lot of conditions that Clark and I will have to work on afterward, but that has been taking a lot of our time. Worthy cause though. And
There is a big due date of today to get their revised.
That's Jonathan.
Oh, okay.
We do have one fallback date, but I don't want to do it. It's December 30th. And then, so we just completed a shed at 2 Commerce Park Drive, the Trelleborg. Talked about that a little bit at the last meeting. We worked at, we're working out a lot line adjustment on Heartland Street, which is over actually by 1356 Union. Belltown. We've been working really hard on these townhomes. And then we've been working really hard with the school on their new, administration building.
Yeah.
So they are moving into it this week, I think. And we're just the last things, and they planted all their trees. They got a little bit of work maybe left on the stormwater pond, but we've been working on storm signage with them.
They're leasing that building.
They're
that
leasing.
space.
Mhm.
So does that mean it stays on the tax rolls?
Yeah, John Roth owns that building.
Just checking.
You're gonna see how it works. It's a possibility that the school will buy it in the future, but right now it's just a lease. And it is nice, I think, to have school offices in our town center overlay district. We talked about that before. If we can't be in a school, it's nice to have it sort of right in that crosshairs of our downtown. New project, we have a consumer cellular store that wants to take over Metro Mattress, and the Niskuna and Hartford Development Project, we just talked about that. We have had some pretty long meetings working through 2339 Troy Schenectady Road. That is Harry's Mobile. There is a lot of public comment on that project. They are looking to expand the gas station. It is a non-conforming use. There's a lot of concern about precedent for allowing expansions on Route 7. And then there's also a lot of people who think that if you allow some expansion, you can make the site a lot better and nicer. And it's, a service community. So we have a lot of competing comments, a lot of meetings probably left on that. And then, just the still working on the 929 Case Road and 1045 Palmer Ave. They have not submitted updates. And then we're also still working on finalizing David Giardino's idea to get liaisons to all the different committees. So that is the last bit of paper you have in your packet. Zoning board has one residential area variance case in Old Muskegon for grants. Have good contact for Climate Smart Communities grant. Trying to close out the Mohawk River Watershed grant by the end of this year. Trying really hard. I'll let you know if I don't think I'll be able to make it. Selected the contractor for the linkage study. The NYSERDA grant's about 75% delivered here to our
Did you see the email about, I want to say it was DEC
I said,
is switching over to SFS, the statewide financial system. And if we don't submit by a certain date
until
for
March, right?
reimbursement,
That would-
no, they're switching like I think in January, and then they won't be open until April. So that's a 4-month period that we won't be able to submit for reimbursement. I didn't know if you had anything out there.
I literally just sent it to you.
Oh, okay, I'll look and I'll read it.
Yesterday.
Okay, I didn't read it yet. Let me check, I'll check on that for you guys. Yeah, because we have multiple DEC grants out there. Complete Streets has been working on the sidewalk projects. I have gotten a number of comments on Birchwood and Cornelius. My big next step for them is the surveyors went out there. They are surveying the properties. When I get signs, I'm gonna have meetings with the individual homeowners and see, you know, where the sidewalk is, what the effects would be to their property. A lot of people are very much in favor. A lot of people are really concerned about shoveling sidewalks. So that's not an unusual comment when you're putting in a new sidewalk, because these are new. It's not like replacing one that's already there on Palmer. That's a pretty normal fear. I think I will see what, you know, is there and see what the number of people are and where the sidewalk can fit and everything, and then I can get a report to you guys, but that's moving along. Tree Council will be working on 1356 Balltown Road. That when that project goes to be cleared, you're gonna be essentially clearing that land from Balltown all the way over to Van Antwerp. I would expect a large number of comments from the public when they start clearing that land. It's gonna be highly visible, highly noticeable project. So anything the Tree Council can do to keep trees or figure out ways to make vegetative buffers, they will do. I'm still gonna be pretty stark for a while though, until all the buildings go up and the replantings go. Do you want to talk about?
Yeah, the CAC, in our last meeting, we talked with, 2339, Price Connected Road, the gas station. We had a very productive conversation with the developer. The plans are very preliminary, so at this stage, there's really nothing to report, but the committee did make their desires known on several aspects, on that particular project, and we're looking forward to working with the developer on that. The government climate, the climate action plan, that's progressing. We finished up the municipality, survey. We're gonna start going into the planning process to reduce the greenhouse gases. NRI is finishing up. We received the final report from the consultant, and we had discussion about going after an additional grant to do phase 3 of the NRI. And the goal is just to keep on pushing that, as we get funding to, proceed with that.
Want to do a picture of your birthday?
I thought, I mean, they can see the project there. I'll skip it to save time.
Okay. Clark has they've been doing a great job.
And Rita's been helping out a lot on the train station.
Yes, thank you, Rita.
We talked about the plan, so
Okay, so building department enforcement,
I have 2 plugs I'd like to
Okay,
throw in. Just the value of persistence, kind of a good shout out to the building department on 3410 State Street and Brookdale Memory Care. I think both had non-conforming storage pods on their property that some of the neighbors were, was a real nuisance to the neighbors. And we just kind of stayed after it, kept it on the agenda, could where it drove some of us crazy. But they both removed their pods. 3410 State Street is Upstate Guns and Ammo. So they've kind of reconfigured their business a little bit to not need the storage pod. And they have come through the planning board for an addition.
Yeah.
And, there was a lot going on there. But it's just the value of persistence. So we got those 2 properties into compliance. So thanks to everybody who pitched in on that.
okay, that was good because I knew I wanted to add something under there and I couldn't remember what it was until you started talking. The other thing that we just started working on a couple of days ago, which I really want to pursue, is I want to get a software to help with minutes with AI. I have been looking into it. We talked about it at the CAC meeting. One of my CAC members is very proficient with minute taking and AI virtual assistants on these meetings. And I just think that, even the most expensive one that I was looking at was $25 a month when you consider how much time my staff puts into these minutes over and over again. Summaries and everything like that, like training it up, having to do it. I do want to move my department into using an AI tool to make their minutes much more efficient. Let's look at all.
I was just gonna say, I feel like we could look at that systemically, right, townwide.
Yeah.
And charge it to shared services, the 1670 line.
If we can get an AI
Because
that works for us.
I was
and
spending a
works
lot of
for-
time as well, and now
Mhm.
Dottie's doing my minutes. and that's-
It's so much. Yeah. With, this is Clark's motto, work smarter, not harder. So we're gonna get the, we're gonna figure out these programs and maybe do some demos and then we can recommend to you guys.
That'd be great.
Yeah. We're gonna leverage all we got. Planning department, not too many new updates there on those 3 projects. Dr. Horton, do you have anything you want to add for Metroplex?
Actually, I don't have anything for the Metroplex, but I do have another idea.
Yay!
You're on fire tonight.
Thank you.
We like
Thank
it.
you.
We like it.
Well, it just so happens that I'm beginning a major research project in Bangladesh. Okay, I'm going to details of the project. I'm going to be leaving for Bangladesh for a couple of weeks in March, and then in the fall, next fall, I'm going to be in Bangladesh for almost a month, working on this project. Well, it occurred to me that while I'm there, I could also perhaps look, if you guys are open to this, we can look into the possibility of setting up a sister city relationship between Niskayuna and Dhaka, which is the capital of Bangladesh.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, those are great.
And I imagine that there are tons of unforeseen opportunities, and perhaps my partners in Bangladesh will be coming to visit me over at SUNY Albany. But also we can work it so that they can also perhaps make a big ado about them coming to this meeting.
Mhm.
And we don't know what type of opportunities may arise. But if you guys are interested, I'm willing to. I've already got an MOU, so this is a done deal in terms of my research. But while I'm there, I may as well do something for the town.
Yes.
And we get a partnership. I'm telling you, this is the capital. This is a major country with a population of about 172 point some odd million, and it's growing. And no telling what type of opportunities, be they economic, cultural, what have you. Even if returns to certain types of exchanges,
Mhm.
I just think that there's a lot of opportunity here for the town. And so I was just wondering if you guys were interested, and I'd be willing to develop that. I'm going to be there anyway, and I'll be honest, I'm just as excited. I'm doing my research, but I'm just as excited about the food.
I was just gonna. I'll have to go back to try to.
So who knows? We're no telling what we can do.
Cities work really well. A lot of times when the colleges in the cities connect, the people connect. I've seen that work very well. Although a lot of times the sister cities are similar in size. So it may be like Schenectady would be and then we could connect to like a suburb city or something like that. So pay attention to how that looks or works. But sister cities, when I lived in Connecticut, they did that a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
Massachusetts has a lot of them too.
Yeah. It's a really nice thing.
And at present, we have no such relationship, right?
That's what I know.
Okay. So this is something I said, you know what, this would be great for Miss Eva.
Mhm.
No, and again, I love what the Metroplex is doing for all of Schenectady County. All right. And phenomenal growth. And Ray comes in and he demonstrates it. However, first and foremost, I want to look out for Miss Eva.
Mhm. You're our representative.
That's right. And so I want to see what can we do to quote unquote spice things up and really put this town on the map. And I can see a big splash in the major papers. This unit established sister city relationship.
Oh my God.
A lot better
that's
than
flash.
that. Was very interesting word you used there. We'll take the water stuff out of the papers. then, right?
Sister cities and the cultural exchange that comes from them, they're really, really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you'd use the schools, you'd use the colleges, you use, people's homes.
That was with this project. We also going to set up, not only will I have an office, it's at actually the American International University of Bangladesh. And so I'll have an office there as well. And we essentially will be setting up a satellite office for my university there. Okay. And I said, well, how about a satellite city? A sister city relationship. I can't do that's okay. I'll see if these guys like it.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good idea.
Well, that's the end of my, I think the oatmeal's boring. The last little.
For breakfast at our next EDHPEC. So, for legal, probably the only update Elena would give you is that we did settle a pretty big outstanding lawsuit with 1356 Balltown Road. So that was a ton of work on her department. And it's always probably better to settle. And, Rita, did you want to add anything for historical?
The only thing I wanted to add was the Schaefer homes, because I received an email from two concerned owners of Schaefer homes. And I attended a meeting, and Clark will tell you, we discussed this at the meeting. The problem with this is, I was being bullheaded about this because I saw already in Chris from the beginning that they're not eligible for historic preservation or to be put on these lists in these registries. But what I was looking for was someone, because I didn't know when the assessment was done or how it was done, and you don't see the paperwork behind it. So I was hoping that someone would be able to spark something that, give you a trail, a breadcrumb that you can at least apply or something like that. I was looking into that also to have the determination reassessed. But, I haven't had any luck with that. So what I suggested was for the same thing, a homeowners association, something like that, to these, the people involved. Because the Schaefer homes, yes, it is a local culture, it has a local history, but it's not something that has impacted the country or the state or anything like that. And one of the things that I can give you an example, the Thomas Edison houses, that did have a great impact on affordable housing. And architecturally, that was a design and a concept that he developed himself. So that's how they're able to get a national accreditation, not be on a national register. You see, so it had to be something, and this is what I've been struggling with. And I know everyone was disappointed, and we were trying so many different ways, but it's not doable, for the registry. Now, the local historic registry, yes. You see what I'm saying? A national, a historic and cultural registry. And this is what I've been pushing for.
Have they been at the homes, or he's never been recognized at like a statewide or national architectural association or something like that? Nothing.
Because you got to realize, okay, as far as the main conservation effort was reusing. But that was done all of the time. It's not something that was just, Paul Schaefer. His design, you see, was that, it's a Paul Schaefer design, and the thing is, though, his efforts were in environmental conservation. He lobbied for that wilderness bill, you see, but he was a lobbyist among lobbyists. So it wasn't anything that was, that was notable. And that is the situation. Yes, here we honor him here, you know, but as far as on a grander scale,
Yeah,
and this is what I was looking for, something that was unique about these houses, about the concept, about the way he built, you know, these homes that was inventive.
so Rita, why don't we add this to our conversation, because I'd like to keep this going if we can find a way. I don't, again, I definitely, I always feel like we have more to talk about than we have time in the meeting.
Yes,
So
yes.
keep it going.
I
Yeah,
just
I
wanted
mean,
to put it out there. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
address in the comp plan. This is very forward. A lot of discussions, Rita, David and myself about this.
Okay, so what's a good way for us to follow up on this, Rita?
Well, we were meeting on, I think it was Mondays, you know, around
On next Friday?
Next Friday, we're meeting.
I think it's next
next
Friday.
Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For historic preservation.
Oh, was it Monday, Rita?
No, it better not be Monday.
I'll look. I'll look in our calendar.
Yeah, whenever, because I mean, if we can find something, just a nugget, to something to grab onto.
Doesn't Union College have something to do with that? Didn't they take
Yeah, they
over
take
that
over.
shape?
Yeah, they did.
But I abandoned that. You see, that's the point, because one of the things what made intrigue me was that Union College abandoned that.
They did.
Yeah, and except they will not post a plaque out there or anything, because they understand that it's a local cultural phenomenon. It's not something that is attributed to national or state. There was nothing truly. I hate to say this, but you know an Hermes bag that costs $5,000.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's like an Hermes bag. You know, it's something that if you look at them and you want it because it's $5,000, but
Yeah, actually, the lesson we learned with Mansion Square was protections are local. If you're on the National Register, that does not necessarily protect the site per se. So everything's local. So yeah, this is one of the things that we are trying to address with the comp plan, because I think we fell short in the comp plan in 2013. However, there's a lot of issues with that, so we're working through that now. And
Okay.
and I actually think it's probably more than the Schaefer homes.
There's probably other.
Yeah.
Rita, I don't know if you could hear all that, but Dart was just saying how exactly what he was reiterating what you're bringing up, that there's different levels of recognition.
yes,
And that what people kind of have to work through is which recognition is appropriate for that. So thanks for bringing.
exactly.
Yeah.
For reiterating, which I'm gonna take a sidetrack. I've been asking Laura for quite a while now. When we get a mic and speaker set that sits in the center of the table, because we have a lot of virtual meetings. And it would be very, we can hook it up with the TV and.
Really, he doesn't really have a budget left this year, but I still feel as if that's something that can be taken out of shared services, right?
In a virtual meeting.
Yeah, I agree. Good idea.
And people online can't really participate because there's audio issue.
Even the recordings of the committee meetings, if you're talking here,
A lot of people talk in
that
the
way.
audience and finance, and I'm like, no, go to the mic, because when I'm doing minutes, I can't hear.
It's
That's a very good point.
And then, I think these guys are much harder to pick up even on the recording. So
Make sure that Rita heard that, because she's been doing a nice job of digging into this and saying it might not quite fall under this one category, but there is a way that we could still recognize places. So thanks for doing that, Rita.
You're welcome.
do you have anything else, Rita?
Excuse me? No. I just wanted to let you know that, listen, I'm in there.
We know.
You had your own reel too. Great job.
Oh, God.
I like oatmeal. I just never take the time. I eat here generally.
It's so good for your system.
And it's
I
tasty.
buy it and I look at it.
And most importantly, if you're trying to get that weight down.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
We adjourn.
Okay, so I need a motion to adjourn.
Okay, second.
All in favor?
See, Laura, you said this is gonna be. You never say that.
She should have said, this is gonna be fun.